It's Wednesday, the 31st of March, 3 p.m. in the UK, 10 a.m. on the East Coast in the US, prime time across Asia. Welcome along to Leaders Live.
Yes, indeed, prime time across the entirety of the Asian continent. James Emmett, David Cushnan. We're here with you live for the next 35 minutes or so. If you're watching live on Twitter or live on LinkedIn, our message is simple. Hello to you. And if you're watching on Catch Up at your leisure, our message is equally simple. Hello to you.
If you are watching us live on either Twitter or LinkedIn, do feel free to drop us a message. Tell us where you are watching and whether you're enjoying the show at LeadersBiz on Twitter, of course, or just comment either underneath or to the right of the LinkedIn live feed. Maybe
just tell us where you're watching from. Coming up on today's show, we will be hearing from the co-founder of Cameo, Martin Blencowe. He's joining us live to discuss the personalised video messaging services. Big plans for sport.
Really looking forward to that conversation shortly. But first, James, high time we took a look at some of the sports industry stories that have been catching our eye over the past few weeks. And I know you've got one right over there already.
I do, David. I've got a little prop here. I just got it in your camera line there. I apologise for that. I'll get my lines, my blocking right from now on. This is the cover story from the FT weekend this weekend. It's a piece by Murad Ahmed. It is, of course, on the opening of the Formula One season this weekend, and it's focused on the new Aston Martin team and its billionaire owner, Lawrence Stroll.
Yep, Formula One is back. Really positive signs around the whole sport, actually, after the race on Sunday, opening race of a 23-race planned season. Record audiences on Sky Sports in the UK. I think the most watched Formula One race ever in the United States, which is pretty impressive and perhaps indicative of a Netflix effect after the success of Series 3 of Drive to Survive. Optimism all around as well from a sponsorship point of view. New partners coming in. We've got technology brands like Cognizant as the new title sponsor of the Aston Martin team. Oracle joining forces with Red Bull Racing.
Viewer, of course, David, the new Manchester United sponsor just announced yesterday, I think, as a partner of Mercedes-Benz as well.
Yeah, indeed. And Aston Martin are a really interesting story. It's a team that has been rebranded from Racing Point last year. Used to be Force India. Back in the day, it was Jordan, of course. And this is a team with big ambitions and major new investment from Lawrence Stroll.
Yeah, Lawrence Stroll, who made his some billions. I think he's technically 3.5 billion, I think, is his current net worth. Canadian, made his money in investing in luxury brands, reviving them. He's intending to do exactly the same with Aston Martin. He owns the team and the Aston Martin marque. He's a motorsport nut, and this is in many ways a sort of time-old story in Formula One, David, in that it is a billionaire petrolhead getting into the sport to try to use it to revive the fortunes of a flagging luxury automotive brand. Can he do it?
Well, on the evidence of the weekend, it's going to be tough. Not a great weekend for Aston Martin, but Formula One in general has a lot of big car manufacturers in play at the moment. Mercedes, of course, Ferrari, of course, McLaren with its increasing road car program, Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin, Renault with their Alpine brand as of this season. So good times for Formula One in terms of the investment and the commitment from major car manufacturers. Trouble is, though, James, that not all of them can win, and that potentially becomes a problem.
Yeah, well, you always say to me, David, every time there's a Formula One race and we have our sort of debrief afterwards, and you always say to me, James, the thing is you win on Sunday and then you sell on Monday. And I say to you, David, well, what about the other teams? Are they selling?
Well,
do you really need to win in order to drive revenue?
Well, I suspect we're about to find out. There are certainly examples. If you take Ferrari, they've been through a fairly fallow period recently. I still think they're selling a lot of cars. They're selling more caps, but they're selling a lot of cars. And so I think we're going to find out because, as I said, too many manufacturers to all get a slice of success. But really good start to the F1 season and looking forward to it continuing very soon.
Indeed, and a good piece and a final word on this. Lawrence Stroll, he does mention Ferrari, he does want to turn Aston Martin into the British Ferrari using Formula One to do that. In the short term, though, he's targeting Lamborghini and Rolls-Royce as kind of luxury car makers that he wants to leapfrog through this particular piece of very expensive sports marketing.
Indeed. To another story that we've been keeping our eye on, and today was due to be the day when the UEFA Champions League revamp was ratified by UEFA. This is the new plan to increase the number of participating teams, increase the number of matches per season by about 100, I think, and to add a new playoff knockout round. But it hasn't happened.
Yes, so in our planning for this show, we had pointed to some topical stories that we were going to go to. We decided, we knew that today was the day that these UEFA Champions League reforms were going to be ratified, so we thought, that's okay, that's the number one story taken care of. Only just yesterday, what everyone thought was a done deal turned out it's not a done deal. And Martin Ziegler has a story that you've picked out just over there, David.
Yes, as you can see, clubs holding UEFA to reform ransom. This is Martin Ziegler in the London Times just today, talking about the essentially the lack of agreement over a pretty fundamental matter. That's how the marketing and broadcast elements of this revised competition are going to be carved up and who's going to control them. The European Clubs Association, which is a group of all the clubs competing in the tournament, but particularly the big brands, the big European giants, are particularly keen to take control of more of that. UEFA obviously balking slightly at that. Feeling seems to be that this will go through ultimately. April the 18th, I think, is the new deadline that has been put in place. But certainly something of a hitch in terms of the grand plan.
Yeah, indeed. And as you say, David, the current argument is over exactly how and through what vehicle the rights for this new look tournament will be commercialised. UEFA currently does it through their arm's length in-house rights agency, Team Marketing. The ECA, the clubs, would prefer, it seems, to have more of a joint venture vehicle doing it. I notice as well in the story, David, if I squint hard, I think I can see the face of Crystal Palace co-owner Steve Parish there. And he has quite a, if I squint even harder, I think I can see he's got quite a nice line summing.
Should I hand it to you?
No, you hold it up for the viewers and see if they can zoom in on this, and I'll read it out. This is what Steve Parish says, which is a neat summary of what many people in the game currently think about this. Let's be clear, he says, about these proposals. Most clubs don't want them, most fans don't want them, broadcasters aren't asking for them, but it's likely they will pass because 20 members of the ECA have effectively hijacked the governance of the game. That's Steve Parish's opinion, but it does seem to be, and many observers are looking at this and seeing it as an inevitability that a European Super League will eventually come to pass, and that this could just be UEFA's last hurrah with the Champions League format.
Something else we're keeping our eye on, and certainly have been over the past few months and certainly weeks, is the interminable saga of Serie A's broadcast rights, which eventually concluded with DAZN taking the lion's share of the rights to live games exclusively in Italy between now and 2024, or between next season and 2024, and knocking Sky Italia pretty much out of the picture.
Yes, indeed, and we can see there the front page of the football Bible in Italy, Gazzetta dello Sport. This is from Saturday when the deal was announced. Rivoluzione TV, which, would you like me to continue?
I would like to know what that means.
It's television revolution, David. It's all change. Sky Italia out as the incumbent main broadcaster of Serie A in Italy, and in come brash new player, DAZN.
Yeah, so this is DAZN's biggest bet on sports rights yet, $2.5 billion, which is just a shade under €2.5
billion, I think.
Sorry, euros, which is a shade under $3 billion over 3 years. Slightly higher bid than that submitted by Sky, but for Serie A and the clubs who've been making the decision and umming and ahhing about the decision over the past few months, certainly a riskier bet.
Indeed, there's been all sorts of speculation, rumour, offers, counter-offers going on in Italian football. In the commercial sort of landscape of Italian football recently, there have been private equity bids coming in for these rights, looking to reshape the way things are going. They've eventually plumbed for this DAZN bid, and as you say, David, it's not without its risk. On both sides, really. For DAZN, it's a big old bet, and at their price point that they currently have of $9.99 a month across Europe, it's going to be very difficult to recoup such a big investment, so they're going to have to think carefully about how they price and package.
They are bullish, though.
They are very bullish.
They're very bullish, and some interesting quotes from incoming DAZN executive chairman Kevin Mayer, the former Disney executive, had a stint briefly at TikTok last year, but certainly a big media player. And he was quoted recently in a really interesting and punchy interview with CNBC, saying, "We have the capital to do it buying more top-tier sports rights, and Len Blavatnik is committed to it, and it's going to work." Len Blavatnik, of course, the owner of DAZN's parent company. So we will see how things play out in Italy.
Indeed. We're certainly pleased that the whole saga has been tied up, and I'm sure most of the Serie A clubs will be pleased with that outcome too.
Indeed, and we're going to be talking about the future of sports content today. And as far as live rights are concerned, aside from that Serie A deal, the NFL's recent seismic new broadcast agreements with ESPN and ABC, with Fox, with CBS, NBC and Amazon remains pretty much the biggest story in town.
Indeed, and rather than waffle on about that ourselves, we asked our Great Good Leaders Group colleague over in the US at the Sports Business Journal, John Orand, to take us through the whats, the whys and the wherefores of this particular rights bonanza deal.
I'm John Orand, media reporter for Sports Business Journal, and here are my key takeaways from the recent NFL media deals. First of all, what a great deal for the NFL. $110 billion over 11 years. The NFL was able to get Fox, CBS, and NBC to double what they were paying on an average annual basis. But at the same time, it still was a really good deal for established media. There was a time 5, 6, even 10 years ago that everybody was expecting these big digital companies, Google, Facebook, Twitter, to come in and get a really big, significant package of NFL rights. That didn't happen. They sold a small package of streaming rights to Amazon, the smallest package that they had available for Thursday night football games. But the big broadcast networks are going to be in business in 2033, which is something that nobody ever suspected. Amazon's video strategy also is starting to come into focus. They've already seen this strategy in the UK with how Amazon has picked up the Boxing Day matches for the English Premier League. Amazon doesn't need the biggest, most expensive packages. It just needs a package to get a foothold in there. Finally, there's the US market for sports rights, which is going to dry up a little bit. But I feel like the English Premier League, which is one of the next ones up, is going to be fine. NBC loves it. NBC has used it to build out its streaming service. And I expect that NBC is going to do whatever it takes to keep the Premier League. I'm John Orand.
Thank you, John, and more from SBJ and the team there in future editions of Leaders Live. Right, to today's big question on the show, James, which is
OnlyFans the future of sports media?
Okay, now that's a deliberately provocative question, James, but what it is a starting point for a conversation about individual athletes and how they're going to increasingly go direct to consumer and build revenue streams off the back of that.
Yes, indeed. We're using OnlyFans really as a proxy for the rash of organisations which are bringing technology to bear to connect content creators of some form with their audiences directly. OnlyFans is, of course, a subscription website which allows creators to monetize directly from their fans. It's been around for 8 years now, and so I'm told, David, it says here that it's been best known up till this point for its 18+ content.
What? Oh dear.
Yes.
That is beginning to change, though, in a world where athletes are looking to create additional revenue streams and have the ability to create more of their own content. OnlyFans is increasingly or gradually turning its attention to sport. Meanwhile, other platforms are looking increasingly at exactly that type of direct monetization model. Yes, subscription services and micropayments, very much in fashion. You might have heard about that. And we're going to dig into some of those themes now.
Yes, we are. We're going to do it with our guest. Personalised video messaging service. Cameo was launched 5 years ago, bringing fans closer to high-profile personalities. These celebrities set their price from very little to quite a lot, and you can buy a personalised message from them.
And here to tell us more about that and to discuss Cameo's plans in and around athletes and sport, delighted to have with us live from the west coast of the USA, the co-founder of Cameo, Martin Blencowe. Martin, very good to have you with us, and thanks for getting up so early to join us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Cameo is on a pretty steep growth curve, which is very exciting for everyone. Some exciting news this week as well on that front. Tell us about what's been driving that growth.
The driving of the growth. I think that these cameos, when you see the reactions from the fans and how much it means to the fans, they go viral. And this is something the fans want. And so, especially with the lockdown of 2020, people are at home, and in a world that's so disconnected, we connect people to their favorite people. And so much talent has joined from so many different genres and sectors. So it's been fantastic.
So let's dig into it a little bit. And for people who might not be so familiar with Cameo yet, tell us a little bit about how you work with particularly high-profile personalities in order to, well, build their profile even further and build up the fan bases and audiences that they're looking for.
It really depends on the individual and what they're trying to achieve. I remember a few years ago, I was speaking to Kenny Clark, who plays for the Green Bay Packers, and he wanted to do something to help kids that had a parent in jail. His father had been in jail since he was 9 years old. So we did some research, and we found out there was a company called the Prison Fellowship that helped out children that had a parent in jail. And there's a crazy stat. I remember it was 1 in 28 kids in America had a parent in jail. So he was doing $28 cameos to highlight that and try and give money back to the cause. This ultimately led to him being nominated for Walter Payton Man of the Year. So, sometimes there's not always a financial component. Yes, these guys can make 6 figures a year, but sometimes it's about giving back to the community. If you see with Drew Brees, Manny Pacquiao, they're doing it for their foundation, which is awesome. And
sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry.
I can
ramble.
Yeah, so can we, it seems. I was going to ask you about that financial element. Obviously, it's not all about the dollars, but for some it is. So how does the monetization process work for personalities, for anyone on the Cameo platform?
So the talent sets the price. A lot of times you'll see guys, they'll link it to their jersey number. I think Lawrence Taylor, that was a big star for the New York Giants. He's 256. So, and then how we operate, it's 75% goes to talent, 25% goes to Cameo. The money, guys can make a lot of money. Obviously, with the retired athletes, they're more incentivized by making the money because those revenue streams that they had once they were playing has ended. And I remember there being a crazy stat when we started the business. I think professional athletes between the ages of 20 and 30 make 90% of their lifetime income. So when you've got the current players, it's more interesting. They're more interested in, like, how do I connect with the fans and, boost my brand.
And what are you noticing about what works? What are, I presume, different fan bases want different things from the personalities and the celebrities that they follow. But have you noticed any trends in what people are asking for? What type of messages generally carry value for these audiences?
Well, originally it was people thought Cameo was just a service that do happy birthday messages, and then as you see with the athletes, it's inspirational. You know, what's become really popular is fantasy football, like, you know, a bit of banter. And the thing that works is the talent being bought into it and being comfortable and being authentic, and not just getting a message and giving them a piece of themselves and really expanding from the message that they were given. And, you know, originally I think guys were doing videos, you know, for very short, like 30 seconds. And now you can see guys do them as long as 8 minutes.
What kind of measuring and monitoring, Martin, have you got in place at Cameo to analyse some of these trends, to increasingly understand the customer base, the fan bases for these personalities?
Well, we just have we have a lot of users on the app, so we just boost out the talent to our customers to let them know that they're on. So I missed the question, a little broke up a little bit. Can you repeat that a little bit again? Sorry.
Sure. It was about how you are measuring and monitoring exactly those trends that you were talking about people's willingness to pay, price points,
length of messages,
Uh,
what type of messaging they enjoy. What's the sort of data collection process at your end, and how is that developing?
You know what? It's when I speak to the talent, it's really, you just see it. It's an instinct. You know, I speak to the talent. I explain what I feel best practices are, what we see that works. The guys that are being successful, and just, you know, say, look, this is what's working for this talent. We recommend this, and let the talent do how they want to use it. Pretty simple.
Good stuff. Stay with us, Martin. We're going to take a quick break on Leaders Live, and then we're going to come back to hear a little bit more from you around Cameo's potential activities in and around sport. But you are watching Leaders Live.
Are leaders born or made?
I think it's a bit of both.
Combination.
It's a difficult question, but I would say a combination of both.
Developed.
I have to say I think they're made.
To do it properly, you need to have had the scar tissue and the experiences along the way to make you, in my view, as good a leader as you should be.
Both.
A leader is born.
I would have to say both.
Leaders are truly made through the experience of leading.
Some leaders are born and some leaders are made.
Mostly made, I think.
Absolutely, for me, they're made.
I'm afraid they are born. But that's very pessimistic. I think they are born.
I mean, you need to have some leadership skills, which, from my experience, are almost there from a very early stage.
But I do think it exists within people.
You can teach leadership.
To be a good leader, you've got to be able to have the right people around you. Find good people.
I think leaders can be made.
Leaders are born, then made.
But it's possible to have it in you and not develop it.
The idea that leaders are born is a very dangerous one.
You are born to be a leader, but you might be born halfway through your life to be that leader.
You can become a leader at any time.
Welcome back to Leaders Live. Very good to have your company. We're back with Martin Blencowe, co-founder of Cameo, who is with us. Martin, you talked a little bit about some of the athletes and some of the origins of Cameo within and in and around sport. Tell us a little bit, if you would, about some of the plans that you have to entice more athletes, more personalities from the sports world onto the service.
So we have a few new things that we're testing out right now. We did some testing in the with a FaceTime with a talent and some other things, and we tested them out in December actually, and it was really exciting to see that we actually had a couple of guys from Harry Potter come on the site, and they crashed the website at December, which is not a good time to be crashing the site because that's where most, it's basically our Super Bowl, and so that's really exciting because Cameo is a gift. So you're buying it for a friend, whereas this is a way you can have a conversation and then get a photo with that individual digitally. And if you think about 2019, the digital photo probably didn't make any sense, but now everything's digital, right?
Absolutely. What about the way that you're working with athletes in terms of them building out their wider media and content creation portfolio? Obviously, there's a number of social media platforms. We've got an increasing number of athletes investing in or starting their own in-house content production companies.
We're even suggesting that some athletes should go on OnlyFans, David.
Well, we seem to be suggesting that, but where does Cameo sit, and where are you sort of advising athletes that Cameo sits within their wider profiling and media activity?
What I've noticed, or what we've noticed, is take care of your fans, and then sure as heck take care of you. So it's really having these guys. What's great about Cameo? It's easy. They're not posting anything. They get a message come in, bing, they record it. The difference is when you see an athlete, they're not really good at talking. You've got the influencers. Influencers were the guys that really were the first to be successful on the platform. They grab the phone like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" Whereas the sportsman is stiff. So they got to learn how to get media camera friendly. So it's a great training tool for guys that are trying to do life after football, whatever that is, off the field, and get used to communicating and talking with the fans. And really that's a huge asset because they become super fans and then are engaged into whatever that individual's doing in their career.
You mentioned a couple of the football stars that you have on the platform already. You mentioned Drew Brees earlier. What do the best examples of sports people on Cameo do that the worst examples maybe don't? What are some of the challenges that you're looking to educate athletes around when they want to get onto the platform?
Well, I think the talent now becomes smart. They see what works and what doesn't work. I mean, they don't really need to educate them. You see, if the bookings don't come in, it's because you're probably not doing a good job with your cameos. There is such a thing as, like I think I mentioned this earlier, there is such a thing as doing good cameos, not being the most famous. So if you come in and it's just it's an inspirational message, yeah, good luck, Paul, but if you actually go there and explain your journey to a certain degree, obviously you don't want to go there for an hour's length. That's what's going to be successful. And people go, "Oh my God, wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much." And then it's actually engaging with the fans. You can text back with a fan and say thank you and post the reaction videos and the reviews and letting how much doing Cameo means to you and to the fans.
I was going to say, Martin, Dave and I just started a question at the same time. We're so eager on this one. Do you have some kind of formal training process when you onboard celebrities onto the site? Clearly, I mean, I read something a couple of weeks ago about the chap from the In-Betweeners, the actor from the In-Betweeners, who is absolutely rinsing it on Cameo at the moment, just because of his work ethic, it seems like, his pricing and his work ethic. But is there a kind of a quick fire sort of do's and don'ts for how to really make it pay on Cameo?
Yeah, I love James Buckley, by the way. He's great. He didn't think he was going to get booked, by the way. Just want to let you know that. He came to my house last year and he didn't think he was going to get booked. So, but yeah, no, pricing is a factor. I mean, you can see guys that have their price $50 too much, and that can be, what prevents you from being successful or not. What I think was really interesting, you see a lot of individuals that are $300, $500. If they were literally $100, they could probably make millions on this thing. That's the unbelievable part. If you look at, Buckley, he went to me, guys should be making a lot more, but everybody wants to price themselves higher. They see their peers in. I can't be lower than that guy because of my brand. And it's but they don't realize sometimes those guys have raised their price as time's gone on to to manage demand. So that's interesting. But you do your best to, give them the best advice and say, look, this is what works. But at the end of the day, the talent's going to do what they want to do. And I think that's what they like. They're the boss.
Just thinking, Martin, about adding more sports personalities to the service over time, which I would imagine is your plan. Is the trick going to be, and the challenge going to be for you as a business, to almost, as we've talked about, educate, train, make those athletes understand that actually moving beyond the traditional PR, media training, very formalized, sort of structured approach to public-facing activities is actually the thing that's going to yield the greatest returns here? And is that going to be a particular challenge given how PR sensitive lots of sports organisations are, who obviously athletes are in many cases connected to?
What I like about Cameo, as I mentioned with Kenny Clark is they can take control automatically, immediately, and be authentic to their fans. And at the end of the day, you hear that word a lot with social media, being authentic. And this is a great way to communicate with something that's dear to your heart and find a way to use Cameo that you want to use it to enhance your brand. If it's literally just come on and make some money, that's fine. I think if you look at James Buckley, as we mentioned earlier, his video was like, here for the money. He made a joke out of it. But if you other guys, there's ways to do something to elevate your brand. You can do things that are PR friendly, and you can see some of these reactions from the fans, as I mentioned earlier, and how much it means. And sharing these people crying and screaming and being like, I mean, that content's amazing. That's the goal of the business.
Martin, when you look ahead to the rest of 2021, coming off the back of, in business terms at least, a fantastic 2020 for Cameo, what do you see as your kind of key opportunities and your key challenges on the other hand? I'm thinking particularly in terms of potential growth areas and also maybe threats to your business. Something that we're seeing a lot of is digital platforms very quickly adopting new services that they see are successful elsewhere. So obviously everyone's going mad for Clubhouse at the moment, and you're seeing that a very similar service spring up across all sort of social platforms. When you look at challenges and opportunities ahead, what do you see?
Well, the opportunity is international. I think if you look at UK, it's really grown in the last year, but still, I think if you went to people, what's Cameo, they'd be like, don't know. But then you say personalized video message from celebrities, they go, oh yeah, I kind of know that thing. That's the thing with the in-betweener guys. I mean, he's getting a lot of traction on this show. So international is great, so I think just keep doing that. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are trying to do, other versions of, whatever the threats are. I'm not really concerned about it, to be honest. As you can see, this doesn't really faze me. It seems like when guys get on the platform, they're happy with one platform and they're good with that. And it's really expanding and creating other opportunities through the Cameo platform that the talent can monetize.
Question, Martin, it's the final question that we're asking everybody on these shows. Obviously, looking back at the past 12 months during the pandemic, what's been your major leadership lesson that you'll be taking away from this last period of time?
I think when an opportunity presents itself, you have that momentum, you just can't let go. And understand the importance to a team of, like, when you've got that momentum, I remember sitting in my kitchen, trying to get that lightning, and it was there, and you just literally had to not stop. I mean, I think the excitement of where the company could be and explaining that to everybody and having that passion to do the best at your job ultimately leads to the success of the company.
Good stuff. Martin, really appreciate you starting your day with us over there in the US. Very good to hear about Cameo's exciting plans, and we will look forward to following your story as it grows within the sports space over the next 12 months and beyond. But Martin Blencowe, thanks ever so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Prediction, David, in 1 year from now, 90% of Premier League footballers will be on Cameo or similar service.
But will you?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes.
Okay,
I'm going to say yes. That was Martin Blencowe, the co-founder of Cameo there. Before we go, David.
Yes.
I know you wanted to say a little something about the Leaders Sports Awards, which are returning.
Sure did, because they are back, and there is one of the awards. This October, as part of Leaders Week London, and my goodness, in-person events coming back.
It's exciting.
It's so exciting. The Leaders Sports Awards are back for another year. New categories. We've got company categories. We've got new purpose awards as well. Entries are open from Monday, this coming Monday, Easter Monday, the 5th of April. So why not spend your bank holiday starting to think about how you are going to win a Leaders Sports Award this year. All the information and the entry criteria is available at the Leaders in Sport website, leadersinsport.com/LSA. You can see it on the screen there. Entry details, criteria, all the company category details as well. And we look forward to a big celebration in October.
Yes, indeed we do. All of the winning entries will be showcased in our awards showcase at the event. It's definitely worthwhile entering.
Good stuff. That is it for Leaders Live for today. We are back with another edition on April the 28th, Wednesday, April the 28th. So do join us for that. Until then, our thanks to Martin Blencowe from Cameo, and thank you to you, James. Thank you to the team working behind the scenes, and thanks to you for watching as well.
And to you.
Thanks. Have a good day.